I will call the Tuesday, October 11th, 2011 Committee of the Whole meeting order at 6:43 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess.
Here.
Councilwoman Lobos. Here. Councilman Maldonado.
Here.
Councilman Shelley.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
Mayor Bates, Vice Mayor Woolman, absent. Mayor Bateman, absent.
Okay. Additions, deletions, and deferrals. Mr. Manager.
The only item really is it's not an approval item, but it is a discussion item, kind of informational purposes. Okay. That would be the addendum that you received.
Okay, we'll take that now. Do I have to have a motion on that one, Richard?
No,
I think it's a pure notification by the manager. He has the authority to do this under the emergency procedures. I think because it's a significant purchase, he's just sort of letting you know because there is a meeting tonight. So there's no action, it's just there for the council notification.
So do you want to go to the department head then, George?
that would be great, sure.
Okay.
Barbara?
Yes, a memo, you all were sent a memo and email, so if you need it for reference, it's there. And it's regarding emergency expenditure for generator repairs. And the electric utility is recommending that the city manager authorize an emergency expenditure under section 2-413 of the code. And this expenditure is for repair work that's needed to bring generator number 21 in the power plant back into service. The generator failed last month, and our personnel took it apart. They disassembled it and found that we had a couple of parts that have to be replaced, but they're fairly significant. A bearing and a shaft, and the bearing was completely destroyed. The shaft was damaged heavily. We have contacted the 3 vendors that are associated with the award for bid 201117, which is for pump and motor repairs. So all 3 vendors were contacted and asked to provide us with a quote to make the repairs. As I mentioned, we disassembled the engine. The vendors came out to see what type of work was going to be required to repair this generator or engine. And we got responses back from all 3 vendors. 2 of the vendors declined. They did not want to do the work. And 1 vendor gave us a quote for $64,000 to do the work. It's a pretty substantial amount of work.
Any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
You said 2 vendors declined. Why?
I can't speak for them. It would only be supposition on my part as to why. I do not know.
Okay.
Any other questions? Maybe nothing else is needed with that.
Okay, without any objection, we'll go forward then.
Any objections?
No objections.
Okay. Thank you. Next item is a discussion item. It is breast cancer awareness ribbon garden at City Hall. Entertain a motion to discuss this. Move it. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
This was a last-minute item. I asked the Director of Parks and Recreation to give a brief synopsis of the issue.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I had an email from Ms. Vice Mayor Waldman that Ms. Rudder and her friend and a landscaper would like to put a breast cancer awareness ribbon since we're in the month of October. So, you know, we want to be under the October for the ribbon. We want to put it in front of the City Hall sign by the lake so you can see it from US 1. It's going to be 14 by 20 feet area. And what they're going to do is they're just going to, they're not going to plant the plants, but they're going to just put it into a ribbon and then red mulch around it. They're going to be doing the work, putting the mulch in, and they'll be watering it, make sure they maintain it, and then after October, they'll pick up the plants and put the mulch around the trees that we have around now. And we just want to make sure that we have a discussion with you if we can move forward on that.
Yes.
Any comments?
Is that why you wearing pink tonight?
Yes, Councilman Williams, that's why I'm wearing pink today. Get your support.
Well, just because of that, I don't have any problem.
Do we need to vote on this, or?
No, without any objection, we'll just move forward.
I heard no objection, so we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion of car number 291, stadium signage. Do I have a motion?
So move it.
Second.
Second, thank you. Staff report?
Joe, do you want to take this?
Yes, sir. Lele has requested the use of a sign at the baseball stadium site. There's a nature of the sign, because of the nature of the sign and the intended use of the sign, it's felt that we could accommodate this sign and it would be a positive thing within our sign code. They use this sign as an advertising sign for their event and as a temporary mobile scoreboard on some of the fields. Some of the necessary aspects of these are pretty necessary for these types of facilities. Most stadiums have kind of like a monument, big sign that advertises their events, and then they have scoreboards, and these fields don't necessarily have scoreboards right now. So this is a dual-use sign. And because of its dual nature, we are recommending that the code be amended to allow for what we would call mobile stadium signage. And this category would allow the owner or lessee of a place of public assembly of over 6,000 seats to have one sign, which could be either in the form of a temporary mobile sign or a vehicle sign, which this is, with an electronic changeable copy component to it to advertise these events or be used as a scoreboard. So if that's something you all decide we should be able to do, we'll go back and do some research into placement, size, height, square footage, and those things.
So you're saying the temporary fix is for you to allow one sign? Because I know during race weekend, they have more than one sign out there at the racetrack, so they would be in violation.
More than one sign of
Well, what happens is, like, Army comes in, Crown Royal, the different vendors that they hire come in, and some of them have the, for lack of a better term, jumbotrons that are transportable that they bring in for the weekend.
Some of those may qualify under if the sign is part of an operation that's next to the sign, and it's not necessarily.
right. Now, I'll do some homework on that.
What we can do is, if you like the concept...
I mean, they're only there for 3 days, obviously, when they come in, they're there and they're gone.
Right, and that's almost a special event type of signage where this is permanent in nature. The truck.
Well, it's not a truck, so I don't know how you call it permanent, but...
Well, the intent is that it be permanent, and the reason that it's on a truck is because it's got a dual use, right? So their intent is to put it up on and advertise their events during the week, but when they need it, they move it around to the fields so they can use it as a scoreboard because they don't have scoreboards there.
Or show the game.
In a perfect world, I think they would prefer a permanent sign that did the advertising and permanent scoreboards. But at this point in time, they may not have the resources to do that. So this is an interim step there that I think would be a positive thing. It accomplishes their goals, and
if you're comfortable with the concept, we'll also reach out to the track and just make sure if there's other needs that they have, that we can bring that forward as well. And in the meantime, if you're comfortable with the concept, in the interim while we're trying to draft an ordinance, if we have your assent, relax enforcement on these two properties in light of the potential change in an ordinance. So those would be the two questions we have.
My only other point would be that, can we limit the scope of what they can put on there? Because, we had a problem why their sign is shut down now, so that something like that doesn't come out in the future. I guess that would be to the attorney. Can we limit the scope of what they're allowed to put on the Jumbotron? Because what happened, and one of the reasons it's shut down, and everybody sitting up here knows, is that, what time of year it is, and political stuff was up there, and it got turned off.
Yeah, we really can't get involved in limiting content. You really need to deal with the sign itself, and in terms of content, it's not really a good area for us to get into.
But if it's on...
Now, right, if you want to just totally, first of all, you can go one way or another. You can totally prohibit the things. We do have an existing prohibition on campaign signs on city property, and both the racetrack and the Lillet are technically city property.
So that could cover the concern that you had on that particular content issue. If
That
that's-
would, yeah.
Well, that's already in place.
I mean, it
so-
keeps them out of the hot seat, it keeps us out of the hot seat too.
And that's already in place, so we wouldn't really have to do anything on that end.
Thank you. Any other questions?
All right, so you're comfortable going forward, and then we can basically, if they plug the sign back in the interim, no issues there.
No, none for me. Anybody?
As long
Mr.
as,
Shelley?
as long as they comply with the no campaign provision, I think is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with the concept. And once it comes back in an ordinance form, and then more of the details will be added to it. But I'm okay with the concept.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I would like to, in lieu of time, because Mr. Shelley's leaving, I would like to move to the tabs that he needs to take care of. One is the, let me find what number is it here? The,
Tab 5.
tab 5, yes, the Miami International. Is there a motion to place car number 285 on the council agenda?
Yes.
A second? Okay, tab number 5 there, gentlemen, staff report real quick. We're just skipping so Mr. Shelley can get to the airport. Sure, we went to tab 5.
This was a resolution Councilman Shelley had asked us to prepare with his help. Councilman, did you want to discuss this, or?
Well, it's one of those things where they've been working toward a Miami International Air Show for a little bit of time now, and to get more support and I guess more publicity about what's going on, I wanted to bring forth this resolution because if this does take place at the Homestead Air Reserve Base, it will be a very good economic stimulus for South Dade and Homestead in particular, because in most cases where this air show goes, there's not one in the Western Hemisphere, there's not one in North America, and it's a commercial air show and combined with a military air show. And usually wherever this thing pops up and wherever they hold it, the commerce follows, and so it would be a good economic stimulus for our Park of Commerce, because every 2 years you would have this commercial trade show, and companies like to be where that commercial trade show is. And so I wanted to bring this forward. I'm actually flying tonight to D.C. to attend a meeting to discuss this, and so I would like to have the resolution to show that the city is behind the International Air Show.
Any comments? Questions? Any comments from the audience? With that, anything else from anybody? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And I think Mr. Shelley, tab 6 also falls under you wanted to make sure we got that taken care of?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. We'll take the tab 6, 7, and 8 kind of go together. So if I could get a motion to place car number 283,
Second.
288, and 289. We've got a motion to move forward with those, and could I get a staff report on those, please? Sure.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the waiver of usage fees of the James Archer Smith Park for the Lions Club in the amount of $180.25 on November 20th, 2011, from 8 a.m. to noon, according to the city's code, chapter 20, section 20-11, fees and charges. The city council sets fees and has the right to waive parks and recreation fees by a majority vote.
Mr. Chair.
Any comments?
Mr. Chair. This was brought to me by the Lions Club. They contacted me. They wanted to have a walkathon and a screening, diabetes screening in the Northwest neighborhood over in the James Archer Smith Park. So I did bring this before Mr. Maytan, and we had the discussion. And the individual who's looking to hold the event is here. I don't know if anyone wants to hear from him or not.
Good job. Just one quick thing, if we could, though, on the motion. Could we get the manager to read 7 and the other 2 tabs, just so we can take them all at one time?
Next tab, staff recommends the mayor and council approve a waiver of usage fees for Music Depot in the amount of $1,100 for the use of Losmer Park on November 19, 2011 as part of Race Week celebration. Music Depot has assisted the city with the city's events over the years by donating stages, sound systems, and free follow-up services and repairs to city's own sound system. According to city's code, chapter 20-11, fees and charges, city council set fees and has the right to waive parks and recreation fees by a majority vote. And then tab 8 is Staff recommends mayor and council approve the waiver of usage fees in the amount of $1,000 for the use of the community center and $5,500 for Losner Park for an American Cancer Society Relay for Life. Kickoff meeting is scheduled for October 26th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the community center. The kickoff meetings discuss new ways to raise money, register new teams, new committee members, and discuss when and where to have the Relay for Life. This year, the Relay for Life members would like to organize a mini relay in downtown's Losner Park on December 17th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. to get the Relay for Life a kickstart and hope to get more teams to join.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one correction to what the city manager just read. I think he said 5,500, but it's 550 for Losner Park.
You did.
$550. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? Mr. Williams?
No, I don't have any questions.
Anybody from the public? Sir, if you'd like to speak, feel free.
Good evening, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mario Misolarte, the president of Diabetes Awareness of District 35N in the Lions Club.
The International Association of Lions Club is the largest humanitarian and service organization in the world, all volunteers, with approximately 1.4 million members around the world in more than 200 countries and 700 districts. Our district in Florida is 35N, and it goes from Sebastian all the way to Key West. As I told you, I'm the president of Diabetes Awareness for District 35N. It's a non-profit organization that was started in 1988 to create awareness about diabetes, because diabetes is the leading cause of blindness in the world. Each year, Lions International has designated the month of November as Diabetes Month, and they ask each district to conduct an event for that purpose. And for the last 5 years, we've been conducting Strides for Diabetes, which is a walkathon where we try to promote our services. This year, we're offering to bring not only the glucose screenings, cholesterol screenings, but also the eye screening, so we can get from kids to adults the proper care that they need. Actually, we suggest that they have to look for the proper care based on the experience that we have with the Lions Club. We have all the equipment necessary to do that, and we're asking just the City of Homestead to partner with the Lions Club to see if we can hold the event at the park, as Commissioner Shelley already informed you guys.
I think with that said, all those in favor of waiving the fees? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Shelley, have a good trip.
Be safe.
I guess the air show back.
We'll go back to tab 2. Is there a motion to place car number 2?
I move to approve a Chaldean Fay, and to move it to the council meeting, I'm sorry.
Second.
Staff report, please.
Staff's recommendation, the mayor and council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Alcalde and Fay, permitting them to continue their representation of the city in Washington, D.C. The agreement is for a term of 1 year, payable at a monthly rate of $5,000 plus reasonable expenses. This request is in accordance with the City of Homestead's Code Section 2-411.182, exemption from competitive bidding for professional services.
Any comments or questions? Anybody from the audience? Okay. With nothing said, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Is there a motion to place car number 187 on the council agenda, lease agreement with the Homestead Main Street, Inc.?
I move it for discussion.
Move it. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a second. Staff report, please.
Staff recommends that the mayor and city council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to execute the lease agreement between the City of Homestead and Homestead Main Street, Inc. Upon execution of the lease agreement, Homestead Main Street shall pay to the city a fixed rent of $1.
Question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Williams.
Have we had this before?
Is this actually...
Is there any historical background on this?
There was the The most recent lease was in 2004. This is the same lease that they've had in the past. The reason I am the one describing this to you is in the past it's been with the CRA. However, after discussions with council, and it became apparent that the CRA does not own the old town hall, that it was improper for us to enter into a lease agreement on property that we don't own, and it's now the city that needs to sign the lease agreement, and it's again something that we've been doing for the past few years.
So you're saying we have not done this since 2004?
That was the last lease agreement. I don't know.
Did it go to?
I don't know off the top of my head. I will have to double check. But this lease agreement's for 1 year. Currently, they've been out of the town hall because we've been doing renovations. So this is just so they can come back in.
Question. So you're not 100% sure, but are we assuming that there was just CRA has been doing this on a year-to-year basis with them, or they just continued along since so forth?
I will have to double check. It's a possibility that they had just continued on, but
We've also gone on the assumption that this was something that you all wanted. So apparently the plan was to move them back into the town hall, so we kind of carried that forward, but if there's a change in direction here.
You saying this is, say that last statement again, man?
The assumption was that once the town hall is finished, that they'd be going in there, and that some...
No. You said something else. You said you assumed that...
The assumption was that...
This August body here wanted
that was the assumption, correct, and so it may have been a faulty assumption.
Yeah, that was faulty.
Okay.
The person who probably may not be up here now, but I don't know. My main question: what are they providing to the city for? Well, because you all are making these recommendations. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve this. What evidence do you have that supports your recommendation on this, and why we should do it?
The truth of the matter is, we moved this forward because we had assumed that that was the will of the body, but if that was a faulty assumption, what we can do is pull this off the agenda. We can have them come in and make their case, and you can decide.
I think that's best because that's best. I mean, if you can provide something for me, what they have done.
They didn't make a presentation to me. I didn't hear their case. I don't really. This really came on just as a routine matter, but I'd be happy to bring them in. And in fact, we can talk to them internally first, so that if we have some issues with what they're recommending, but we'll bring it in and bring them in.
Okay, I know you probably don't know. Where are they located now?
They are, I think, being donated space by Mr. Barnes in one of his buildings. I don't know exactly which building it is.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Reed?
And we have another one too, I guess, the museum.
Well, yeah, but that one we're having some discussions with Ms. Campbell.
So there was 2 items.
I don't have a problem with the museum, but I have reservations about this.
So both of them were kind of batched as we thought those were like the old decisions that were just pro forma, but we'll bring I guess both of them in at some point.
Sure.
Question.
Mr. Maldonado?
Can you give us some history on Main Street, what their function is? Is that, from my understanding, I kind of did research one day on Main Street as a whole, and looking into redevelopment of, kind of our downtown area. Do you have any history on what Main Street is, job and purpose is, and is that something that does work alongside with CRA, and is that going to also help you as an organization? Do they help you?
I'm a little hesitant to speak on their history in the city of Homestead because I'm not 100% conversant in what they have done throughout the years. Main Street Main
Street is an organization.
It's a national organization, actually. So
can you tell us maybe a little bit about that?
And typically, when we believe that a policy decision has been made already, we don't spend a whole lot of time second guessing it. But in this case, we ran on faulty.
I have no problem with it, because I do have some understanding of what Main Street, not this one, Main Street as an organization, what it's supposed to be doing. So what I want to be clear is that if we're looking at that we're not, we're talking about the current members that are running Main Street, let that be a separate case, but let's stay focused on what Main Street's supposed to do. Is that supposed to be, should that be a part of the downtown area and helping you? And again, if you give us some history on that, then I think it would help the council understand its purpose. Not that it's an organization, just one nonprofit organization. This is a nationally recognized organization.
It is a nationally recognized organization, and, you know, Main Streets, there are some flexibilities in what they can do. It depends on the community that they're in. Some really focus on historic preservation, some focus on economic development. There's a wide range of things that they do. The current one, from what I can understand, they do a lot of events in the downtown to bring people. They do support historic preservation of architecture in the downtown, and they have been a part of the fabric of the downtown for years. But as a whole, Main Street organizations are there to preserve the character of Main Street and to make sure that they survive. Because if you remember, after the 60s and 70s, a lot of the old main streets in the United States started to go into disrepair. So they were started, I think, as part of that process to keep them alive.
But meanwhile, the policy question of whether it makes sense to give them, in essence, free rent, whether they're producing a good result here, we'd rather have them make that case, and we'll certainly ask those questions of them too before they come before you. But at this point, I'd like to just withdraw the item if we could, and table it, whichever you prefer.
Ms. Lobos has one comment first.
Yeah, I do want to say, my problem was with equal opportunity. I know that when I visited there on the second floor 3 or 4 years ago, there were 3 organizations up there. We had the Chamber of Commerce, Division Council, and Homestead Main Street, either downstairs or upstairs. So this is essentially a rent-free facility. It's owned by the city of Homestead. And so then the case to add on to what Councilman Williams is saying is what makes Main Street the nonprofit that gets this space for this amount of money, which is essentially rent-free. And it would have been the same thing in the past, like why the Chamber, why the Vision Council, why the Homestead Main Street, and could this be something that maybe other nonprofits could benefit from? And if we get from a pool of not-for-profits, we make the opportunity available that we have this space here that a nonprofit could benefit from, and it turns out that from whatever criteria we set, Main Street rises to the top because it's on Main Street, because it's in the downtown area, I would be comfortable with that. But the reasons why we're going with Main Street at this point, there aren't any, right, other than the fact that we've gone with them in the past. So I think that a little bit of homework needs to be done, and as to the reasons why Homestead Main Street would go in here and the length of the term and whether this is something that we're looking to make more. I mean, the Homestead Museum, everybody expected to be there. It's been there forever. The history of it was Ruth Campbell. So that really, to me, is not in the same category as the upstairs office that we're talking about now.
Most of the time where you see free rent to a nonprofit, it wasn't the city manager's idea.
Too late. So I guess then from what I'm hearing is let's bring them back, I guess at the council meeting.
We'll withdraw this item and we'll bring them back at the next CRA meeting to have a presentation so you can consider.
At the CRA or since this is the committee of the whole or at the council?
This is the council. This would be a committee of the whole or council.
Okay.
Quick question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Did they know that this was going to be on the agenda?
They knew that this was going to be on the agenda, but I think they also believe, since historically they've been having this, that they didn't see this as an issue. I think that, our assumption and their assumption was faulty. They were going to come and speak at the council meeting last month, but it was a very packed house, and they decided, if you remember, not to speak. So they're prepared to come and speak on their, on what they do in the downtown to the council.
We'll put on the agenda a larger discussion too of what
Everybody's comfortable with that, Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Ms. Lynn, Ms. Lobo?
I guess we just want to hear.
Thank you.
So the next council meeting, we'll have it.
Okay. Motion to place, or tab number 4, motion to place car number 277 on the council agenda, Bank Signature Authority.
I'll move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Staff report on tab number 4, please.
Staff's recommendation, the mayor and council adopt a attached resolution designating George Gretz as city manager and Allison C. Love, assistant city manager, as signatories for city bank accounts. In addition, this will rescind any other resolutions in conflict herewith. This is relatively new. We'd asked the question whether council authority is required, and it is, so you'll be seeing these from time to time, where you may not have seen them in the past.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, skip up to
Mine.
number 9.
We don't need police cars.
What's that?
We don't need police cars.
Motion to place car number 282 on the council agenda, the purchase and financing of police cars. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Staff report, please.
Staff's recommendation, the City Council approve the attached resolutions authorizing the city manager to purchase 19 2012 model year vehicles for the police department, consisting of 16 Dodge Charger patrol vehicles from Maroney Dodge of Pembroke Pines, a Ford truck from Duval Ford, a Ford SUV from Armstrong Ford, and a Chevrolet truck from Allen J. Chevrolet. Duval Ford will also provide and install all the additional police equipment and graphics for the Dodge Chargers. The total purchase cost for all vehicles is $629,386.01. All 19 of the vehicles will be financed for 5 years under the SunTrust Master Lease Purchase Agreement as per the city's normal practice. The annual payments to SunTrust for the Dodge Patrol vehicles will be paid for from the General Fund Police Uniform Division, and the 3 unmarked vehicles will be paid for from the Forfeiture Fund. LETF Justice 415, only 3/4 of the annual lease payment will be paid in fiscal year 12, as the vehicles will not be received until January, February.
Any questions or comments? No questions or comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will be adjourning the meeting.
10.
We don't have a quorum. So we'll redo that vote when he comes back in. Any questions or comments on the police cars? None being heard. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Tab number 10. Motion to place car number 284 on the council agenda.
I'll move.
State of Florida Office of the Attorney General Victim of Crime Act. Moved and seconded. Staff report.
Staff recommends mayor and council approve the attached resolution to accept and authorize the city manager to execute a contract agreement with the State of Florida Office of Attorney General for $45,044. The grant will cover the cost of 1 contractual victim advocate at a cost of $44,116, and $928 will be paid by the grantor to cover the cost of office supplies used by the victim advocate. A cash match of $11,261 is required for the acceptance of this grant, and the cash match will be funded from the general fund. The match will provide 10% of the captain's salary for supervision of the victim's advocate and will cover the cost of utilities for the Start Off Smart Office.
Questions or comments?
Is this one that we have received in the past, or is this?
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next item, motion to place car number 287 on council agenda.
Move it.
Renewal of trustee squad with the Department of Corrections. It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, please.
Staff's recommendation, the City Council approve the attached resolution to authorize the city manager to execute a replacement contract between the City of Homestead Police Department and the Florida Department of Corrections. This contract replaces the prior year's annual contract, which expires March 16, 2012. The new contract is a multi-year contract for the period of March 17th to March 16th, 2014. This contract is renewable for an additional 2-year period.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, motion to place car number 274 on the council agenda. Energy Conservation and Home Energy Survey Program.
I move.
Is there a second? Second. Staff report, please.
Staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to enter into a professional services agreement with Conserve Pro, permitting them to continue performing free home energy solution surveys for the customers of Homestead Energy Services. The agreement is for a term of 1 year, payable at a rate of $49 per energy survey, plus an hourly rate of $25 for any other conservation-related expenses not to exceed $75,000. This request is in accordance with the City of Homestead's Code Section 2-411.1A2, exemption from competitive bidding for professional services.
Questions or comments from council? None being heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Well,
You got something?
well, I think the question is, on the withdrawing of the Main Street item, can it go, do you want it at the next council meeting, in which case it would go on as a discussion item, or do you want it to go on to the next
Well,
council?
I think if they're ready to come to the next meeting, I think it's,
So we'll put it on as a
beneficial to
discussion
everybody.
item at the council, at the next council meeting.
is that agreed upon?
No action,
Works for me.
no action, but discussion? Or do you want it on as an action, potential action item, but not on the consent agenda? Because it was withdrawn. So
Mr. Williams, any comments?
You make it seem like I'm picking on you.
No, not at all.
Do you want it?
I was gonna ask Ms. Lobos too.
Well, is the office space ready to be moved into?
Where's Rick?
Is it ready?
Yeah, I can give the Main Street a call tomorrow and find out if they can come to the council meeting.
But the question was, is the office ready to?
It's right there.
I'm sorry, who can answer that question, because they're the project manager.
When would they be ready to?
The only thing left to do in that building is the termite treatment. So within the next couple of weeks, it'll be ready to be moved into.
I
I'm
mean, it's
having a
been-
discussion with it, and then whatever, in November, or whatever you guys...
Yeah, move it to November.
Yeah, move it to November.
Why don't we have to come in, discuss it, and then in November, we'll have a...
Okay, so we'll do it on the cow meeting.
The count in November.
Well, if we're going, because our council meeting's coming up, so.
Our council meeting's next Wednesday, so... What,
Is that not enough time just to put it on there, just to get them going?
Yeah,
It looks like you want it on there for next week.
Let's get it done.
Let's put it
What's
on the
the
council
holdup?
meeting Wednesday.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not, what's a month gonna change?
exactly.
You're going to be ready to answer the questions that are going to be asked as far as the process, why Main Street in the past, how it's been done, with information, and then on Wednesday, we'll make the decision whether this is acceptable
We'll
or
have the
not.
resolution on there, so if you choose to vote for it, you can, but it won't be on the consent. And if you choose to withdraw or defer, you'll have it on. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, the meeting's adjourned. Oh, did you guys, you don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
No, if they want to, but it's not on there. I read the script. I went to the movie script.
Don't matter to me.